Yo, what is up, everybody? So today we're playing Clash, and I'm showing off the deck that I think might be one of the best of one decks in the game right now. I ripped this straight from Rybot's Heal Control Stat Swap. That's a lot of words. List from premieres on the 2nd of August, and I've been playing it since. The deck goes insane in best of one because the cards that people tend to play. So Poison Sparrow is in almost every deck in Clash right now. Tsunamis in almost every deck in Clash right now. Argo's all over Clash right now, and this deck plays amazingly into all those counter runes, and it also plays super well into fire artifacts because of Heliolith. So we're going to jump into the list. It's actually pretty interesting. It's a very tight list. I shouldn't say tight. It's a very, there's a bunch of 3-ofs. Like, the list is very straightforward. It's just 3-ofs, a bunch of cards that all synergize in some cool ways. So we'll start with the generic stuff. We play 3 Ambrosia, 3 Gorgon's Gaze, 3 Shield, 3 PTA, 1 Necklace of Harmonia for 3 Argo, and 3 Lyre of Apollo for our Plucky. The entire idea of the deck is that we are attacking with our defenses. So we have Galaxy, Champ Galaxy, Plucky, all who effectively attack with a defense stat. The Plucky with Lyre is a 5 attacker, Galaxy is a 5 attacker, Galaxy Champ of Poseidon makes itself a 5 attacker that gets over things that have less than 5 defense. So we're playing the stat swap control. When I mentioned that the deck plays wonderfully into PTAs, because these stat swaps make our opponent's PTAs almost useless. Kind of the aspect of this deck that's so good is the fact that if our opponent plays PTA and one of our whales or a Plucky, we can still swing with the 5 attacker that turn, get over a body, and then they still have to pay 1 for their PTA. So you get this kind of 1 spear for 3 spirit math over and over again into things like PTA. Into things like Gorgon's Gaze, you are a little weaker because the stat swap, but something like Galaxy plays around Gorgon's Gaze well enough. Plucky plays around Gorgon's Gaze well enough. You have the extra Lyres in deck, so it's pretty easy to draw a Lyre, and if your opponent decides to press or do some shenanigans to your defense stat, the Lyre is fine. But generally, we are playing a deck that wants to kind of go make our opponent spend more spirits on our whales than they want to get rid of them. Go 1 for 1 in spirits for most of the game, and then we're running a giant heal package, or rather substantial for kind of where we're at in the game. So 9 of our cards heal 3 spirits. We have 3 Ambrosia, 3 Sluggle, 3 Calfmel. Sluggle, obviously we have some water cards, we have a bunch of water spirits. You're generally going to use your water spirits early for the shields and arrows and stuff. Recover them with the Sluggle later on in the game. Your Calfmel, you can put it in attack position, combat trick it with like Argo and a Necklace of Harmonia. Follow up that turn by sending your Calfmel into like a Heliolith, get the heal back, bounce the thing, punch for damage. Rabbit's just a good card here. Also, Rabbit, giving a Rabbit a Lyre is pretty consistent in this deck. Turns Rabbit into a 5 attacker, making Rabbit a more significant threat than it can already be. And yeah, we're just playing this deck that I got off of Rybot's August premiere event. And in best of one, because of things like the Tsunami interaction, the PTA interactions that you're going to run into game over game over game, deck does extremely well. Did I mention I have like a 90% win rate with this deck? Because I do, which is actually insane. Like, again, best of one, this deck is cooking people. I have lost to the only 3 types of decks I've lost to. I've lost to an Ursa Turbo deck where they actually had the ability to play 2 Majursa in the game by hard ascending for the second one, like towards the end of the game. It's like, well, could not have played around the second Majursa. I lost that in a very tight game. I lost to Pig, Wind, Pantera aggro deck because this deck does struggle a little bit into some aggro stuff, and there's not a ton of aggro stuff going around on Clash. So when you run into aggro stuff with this deck, sometimes that kind of 1 for 1 spirit you want to play with this deck, your opponent running into you will kind of make you lose faster than you can heal back. And I've lost to Anklet Surge OTK, which is a really fun deck list, which I'll put up the Anklet Surge deck list up real quick for you guys here. The Anklet Surge deck is very much like you bloom and Altar of the Stars, Earth Spirits onto your Anklet Shock, get a bunch of extra spirits on it, combat trick your opponent so they crash into and die, they take damage. You send an Anklet Surge on your turn, you can draw a bunch of cards, discard a bunch of cards, set up for another big push, swing with Anklet Surge, do a ton of damage, suck up all your spirits, punch for a bunch of damage. So I've lost to that deck. Again, same reason why this deck did poorly against the wind aggro stuff, just because a ton of damage all at once is not what this deck is designed to build around. This deck is very much seems designed, or at least well suited, to deal with decks that don't do a lot of damage all at once. I could see this deck struggling against like Blizztrix and stuff, but since Blistrix is a little bit more gambly, I haven't had too much trouble running through Blistrix decks. I haven't lost any, I should say. But there's always a chance that Blistrix hits their 3-seater swords and just punches you faster than you can answer things. So overall, I do like this deck. We'll jump into one quick game with it, and I'll talk to you guys at the end. You guys have a great one. Peace. Alright, so with my luck, finally, now that I've played so many games, this is where I lose now that I'm recording the deck. Oh, that was pretty quick, actually. Let's get into our clash. So, yeah, it's a control-y tempo. I don't want to just say it's tempo deck, because it's a lot more on the heal side of things. Yeah, that is not keepable. Okay. I mean, we could have kept that and gone for a really drawn-out long game, but although the deck is fine doing that, not what I want to do. This is fine. We have ways to answer our opponent's threats, as long as it's not specifically going against like a Majursa bomb deck here. I think we're fine, just because I have no way to deal with Majursa with this hand. The only way to deal with like Bear Bomb in this deck is like PTA, take the hit and pop it, or like Heliolith, which aren't terrible options, but they're not great because you still lose a bunch of cards. Opponent's going to start out with Rabbit, pretty straightforward. We got paired down pretty low into Obsidian 5. Probably just because there's not a ton of people playing this morning. Okay, 2 fire and a Rabbit. This screams Ursa's to me, or Fire Artifact. Fire Artifact I'm okay against playing because they'll turn on my own Helioliths for me. I don't know how I feel against playing against bears. One of the cool things about this deck, though, is since I have the Galaxies are kind of PTA immune and the Tsunami immune, which are kind of two of the big counter runes. So being able to play Galaxy Champ here, if they have anything but shield, like, I'm getting through this Rabbit here. And even if they go Argo and they put something on the Rabbit to protect it with a Liar, or they could protect it with Necklace technically because it will do the swap. I'm okay with that because ideally I just want them to burn a ton of spirits, because I have so much healing. The faster I can burn my opponent out while keeping parity means that by the end of it, I'll get up in high spirit count. They'll be unable to recover as much spirits as I can, and I can push through a long game. So in theory, kind of the way I'm playing this deck is just allowing my opponents to burn themselves out as much as possible. So if they want to play shields and PTAs and Gorgon's Gazes super early, I'm fine with that. Because by the time we get to the end game, as long as we keep our kind of draw parity the same, I will come out ahead. Okay, so they're going to shield here. They're still playing with just fire and Wind Spirit. Interesting. Wind Spirit on the shield. So fire, wind, thunder. I mean, fire, wind, I'm assuming the deck is going to be playing through. I do have some struggles playing against Penterror / like wind aggro on this deck, just because, again, kind of you want to go parity, like spirit for spirit with your opponent, but in like a wind aggro deck where they can go spirit for spirit and then push at the end before you can start healing. Ooh, playing spiders. I don't mind spiders because mechanically they're going to have trouble dealing with the whales. So we have a decent hand to go into spiders. As long as it's not Paracne. Paracne is problematic. I could bounce a Paracne, but I won't be able to deal with it on the follow-up, and I have no way to remove stadiums in this deck. So Paracne will be a problem. Frostmite's not a problem. Frostmite, Warmite. Well, Frostmite's a little bit of a problem. I'm glad that they played it early, I should say, because now I can potentially Galaxy through it before I can start hitting my Galaxy. So we're going to take a hit or two here. And again, if they like PTA, don't mind it. Tsunami, don't mind it. Shields and Gorgons is the only cards we're worried about. We're a little bit more worried about Gorgons right now, just because if they know how to do the interaction, if I attack with a Galaxy that's not a champ at the Frostmite, they can Gorgons it. So we're going to have to go Galaxy Champ Poseidon again and try to get through with the Champ Poseidon. See what happens. Now they shielded the champ to save the Rabbit, but they didn't re-enchant Rabbit, I guess because they went for the card advantage anyway. This will be interesting. I actually haven't played against a Spiders deck with this deck yet, but I do feel like Paracne is going to be very problematic for me. So I do need to make sure I save any PTAs I get for Paracne. I mean, I could potentially Argo trade for it, but the little spiders I'm not too worried about. Maybe Hestia's Hearth combo with a Hestia Warmite is a little scary, but Okay, cool. I got another shield. So this is where, like, in theory, I start pushing for damage. Where I go Galaxy Champ side into Frostmite. They play whatever Elestral they play after. I bounce that Elestral. They try to swing with Rabbit. I could potentially bounce Rabbit, drop other Galaxy, swing for 2 more into their board. There's options, but let's see what they have here. I don't want to see a Gorgon's here. Gorgon's here is a little scary. And being that they're pausing here, it is probably a Gorgon's. We'll find out. Survey says PTA. Okay, yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. We're PTA immune. So we're going to switch our stats and still get through the Frostmite, and they have to still burn a spirit through Galaxy. So we're kind of trading 1 spirit for 3. That's what this deck is doing. It's just constantly trading parity or for more spirit advantage until we just heal up at the end and push for damage with like a Heliolith or a Plucky or just anything that can drop damage. And if they drop any threatening spider, which they probably don't have, I can just shield it. We'll go into battle phase, we'll swing over Frostmite, see if they have another... Like, if they had another card to deal with my board, it's like, cool, you just spent another spirit to stop just a Galaxy. And they're going to spend for PTA here, so they're 11 to our 14. We're going to probably take 2 here. About even. Oh, they didn't destroy Galaxy. I guess they wanted to save the spirit for a Warmite? Or... Frostmite, I guess, does it too, but any spider here does answer the Galaxy. Or they could try to run into it with a Rabbit. A lot of back row. Curious what they're doing. Yeah, so they're going for Warmite Champion Hestia. I don't mind bouncing the Warmite Champion Hestia this turn, because then I can go regular Galaxy and make sure that the Warmite can't do much the following turn, and if I have to, I can just bounce it again. We'll see what they do here. Oh yeah, they get all their triggers, so they're going to be able to get a draw card here on top of the Galaxy stat drop. No big deal. I would like to find a Plucky and a Heliolith sooner rather than later. Significantly sooner rather than later. Ooh, and Hestia. That's a weird timing to play Hestia here because they don't have the ability to special cast, but it does mean next turn they're going to be able to just drop some extra spiders on board, which I don't like. Especially with all the back row. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they thought that they'd be able to use Hestia here. That's fine. Ooh. Rabbit into Galaxy. Do I shield that? No, now that they have Hestia, we'll let the Rabbit go. We'll let them swing with Warmite. And then we'll try and play Galaxy to answer Warmite, and then we can't get battle stat swapped. And that way they can't use that Hestia effectively. If they go Hearth, then the Galaxy swap stats won't be affected. The attack stat won't be. The defense stat that now the attack stat won't be affected. We go pretty long with this hand, so we'll see what happens to this Galaxy. If it's another PTA, no biggie. They'll just keep burning through spirits. They have Hestia's Hearth in play. All it's going to do is be a heal card for them. See what they got. It seems like they're trying to respond to something. A Gorgon's in the battle step would feel real bad, but I'd rather play the passive Galaxy here and save Champ for potential Paracnes and other cards. And in theory, I could protect this Galaxy with shields and then drop the other Galaxy the following turn and go from there. It's neither here nor there, but this is just feels a little bit safer to go this Galaxy instead of with the Rabbit and play and all that jazz. See what they got. They're thinking on something. Would love it to be a PTA. Oh, they're going to Gorgons now? Okay. They could have waited for me to swing into them. Curious. I don't hate that because we're going to be able to push a ton of damage next turn. Unless they have exactly Kindly on their hand. Because they can't Warmite my Galaxy stats, so they need another Gorgon's Gaze. They just need something that can go over Galaxy. If they have Paracne here, a little scary, but I can bounce Paracne. They have Hestia, so they're at parity with, they're over parity with Hestia's in terms of board position. They're just gonna go for a Rabbit Reenchant. Fair enough. Take a Rabbit Reenchant. Then we're gonna follow up with our Galaxy Champ next turn. Start swinging. The Warmite still doesn't do anything. I would still have one shield left over. Ambrosia off the Rabbit. Probably what they just drew. But overall, like, they have so many spirits on board, but we still have more spirits in our spirit deck than them and a decent back row. I'm not too worried about this. Like, this deck is just, there's a lot of thinking to begin. My main focus whenever I'm just playing this deck is just trying to let them burn as many spirits as possible for as, like, inefficient as possible for them, just so I can get to the point where it's like at the end of the game I'm just going to keep killing. Now they're going to Nog. Okay, so they just turned Nog and Ambro into two different cards in their deck. That's fine. Actually 3 because they Reenchanted Rabbit first. So they double dipped on the Ambrosia. And another Ambrosia. Okay. So they've effectively drew 3 cards to heal 1 spirit. 2 spirits. Math. I would love a Plucky. I'd love a Heliolith. Actually, my own Rabbit wouldn't be terrible to draw. I can still attempt to answer this Warmite. Ooh, they are going for the Hearth play. Is this where they realize that their Warmite's not going to do anything to this Galaxy? Gotta hit them with the huh. Huh? I don't think they realize that doesn't work. Something I noticed about a lot of people is it's not confusing to me, but it's definitely something that throws people off with how stat swaps work, for sure. They're out of fire? They are out of fire in their underworld. Interesting. They didn't even get full advantage of the Hestia's Hearth. Makes me feel a lot safer about, I was going to say a lot safer about attacking into back row now, but they just played another back row. There's also an idea where I can go Cough-Mill here. This Cough-Mill will still swing over Rabbit and start generating some potential healing on board. Oh, and they're going to concede. Alright. We'll take it. Alright, so that was against Spiders. Obviously, the game ended a little prematurely. I guess my opponent's hand or the draws weren't that great. But yeah, so the deck just functions. There's not a ton to talk about that I didn't talk about in that game already. It's just like there's some bad matchups against like aggro stuff. The stat swaps are really helpful into these. I mean, it's a very obvious when you see it there. Like PTA, I can still swing, trade for a bunch of damage. Opponent couldn't Warmite my guy down because it was the defense swap that he actually needs. He needed Frostmite. And he used his Frostmite earlier than he probably needed to when seeing whales. My opponent misplayed a little bit there. It's something that they might have known. They were a little bit lower ranked, but generally the deck is just this kind of, you're at parity, you're using all your back row at like, I don't want to say willy-nilly, but you can use your back row just left and right. Like in theory, I was going to just go shield, drop a bunch of guys, heal a bunch, punch for a bunch of damage, and then try to draw into like Helios and Artifact stuff to close out the game. Or if they're going for like big Paracne, well, they're going to be burning themselves for 2 spirits to my like 3 for shield, and then I would be able to just heal it back. And you know, it's kind of this whole system where you just answer things efficiently, heal it back, or not answer things efficiently, but answer things not efficiently, heal it back, so you go up in spirits for that whole interaction, and get them to have their open board, punch them with the Sluggle, punch them with the Plucky, use Galaxies to actually deal with threats on board, and your back row. Like, it's just such a, it's a simple enough concept of just control your opponent's cards, send them back to hand, destroy them, use your runes, and heal the spirits back from your runes to kind of be able to punch for 1 damage, 1 damage, 1 damage, as your opponent burns themselves out constantly. Because All the stuff that they cast that gets sent back to hand, they're burning themselves with spirits, even though we're also using spirits for our counter runes. We'll heal those spirits back, they won't. And we do that enough over a long enough portion of a game, you just come out winning at the end. So a lot of these games end up usually being like 6-7-0 finishes because we were able to heal up a bunch. So even though we get down to like 2 versus 2 spirit wise, we go, cool, now we'll play a sluggle. And we'll shield your last guy, punch for game. Or now we'll play a calf mill. You kill calf mill, cool. I PTA'd your dude as well, so now I get my spirits back, pop your dude, so on and so forth. So the deck works really well. Obviously, I mean, the win rate on this deck for me has been insane. Literally. So I climbed up to, I'm currently in 9th place, I think, now. With this deck on the leaderboard. So it's pretty good. And I hope you guys enjoyed the deck too. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.